Thank you for watching. I'm John Razimus. In this episode, I'm going to be focusing on Bob Lazar, the notorious whistleblower who supposedly worked at Area 51. The early 90s, starting in 1990, exploded with Area 51 rumors of aliens and UFOs, flying saucers, being held in secret areas of Area 51. He claims he didn't work at just the old hangar area, but he was transported to a super secret area called S4. Did S4 exist? Bob Lazar describes S4 as camouflaged, extremely camouflaged. We're talking super villain camouflaged on the side of a mountain. Hangar doors would open that were perfectly not only colored the same at the side of the mountain, but I'm sure if they existed, the texture was the side of the mountain. And he claims there were a number of many different flying saucers held in those hangars. His job was to reverse engineer the extraterrestrial technology. I recently picked up a copy of UFO magazine from the year 1990, and there's one tiny news update in it on Bob Lazar. Here is the update in the UFO magazine. Let's go through that update real quick. Lazar update. At present time, Las Vegas physicist Robert Bob Lazar had not yet been sentenced for the crime of pandering, but had reportedly obtained an important document which may strengthen his case. Lazar received his requested W-2 form from Naval Intelligence, which verifies his former employment with them. Originally scheduled for August 6th, his sentencing was postponed to August 13th and once more delayed to August 17th. Lazar, with no known criminal record, could have been sentenced to up to 6 years in Nevada State Prison. Lazar first gained attention by publicly disclosing claims of his one-time involvement in top-secret UFO ET projects at the reputed S4 section of Dreamland in the Nevada desert, highly protected test site for the U.S. advanced military aircraft. Then troubles with the law began. As a result of a plea bargain with the Clark County District Attorney, Lazar pled guilty to one charge of pandering, for admitting he set up a computer, programmed the software, and helped install a security system for an operating brothel in Clark County. While prostitution is legal in areas of Nevada, it is illegal in Clark County. More on this story will be covered in the next issue of UFO. I have been unable to find a copy of that next issue. So as you can see, Bob Lazar did work near Area 51. He worked at an illegal brothel as an IT guy. He claims he got that job after being fired from Area 51, obviously for leaking information. But let's take a look at some potential scenarios of what actually happened. Bob Lazar claims he's an extremely genius reverse engineer, scientist, physicist, nuclear engineer, basically, which is why he was recruited to Area 51, the S4 facility, to work with the apparently extremely dangerous extraterrestrial engines, which work off of element 115. At the time, element 115 was not discovered yet, so that's one thing Bob Lazar superfans will claim proves his story is true. But the thing is, what we have found is an element so unstable you can't touch it. It dissipates within seconds. Bob Lazar claims on the periodic table there are other elements with many different versions of the same element. Some radioactive and very unstable, some non-radioactive and stable, yet technically considered the same element. He says we simply haven't discovered the stable version of element 115 yet. And this is very possible. He goes on to say when we discover element 115, it'll have the exact same components as I described. He claims he stole a vial, put it in his pocket, and walked out of the S4 facility, walked out of Area 51. I can't remember what he claims he did with that vial. Maybe he took it back. So it's understandable if he worked there, they fired him. You can't just walk around with, you can't just leave your top secret job with some top secret element. Well, let's take a look at the new evidence that an S4-like facility may exist. I personally have been watching this Bob Lazar story for many years, since the early 90s. Been very interested in it, and I personally have gone on Google Maps multiple times, zoomed up on the mountains Bob Lazar claims S4 existed on, and I didn't look for the little doors. Satellite imagery wouldn't show the seams of the doors, but satellite imagery would show tire tracks, trails of cars, jeeps, buses, transporting people to the facility. So I looked for even the faintest tire tracks. I could find nothing even remotely where Bob Lazar claimed S4 was. But let's take a look at these new photos of this new area, 1 hour west of Groom Lake, 1 hour west of the main Area 51 location. You can Google Maps it. You can see how there are different routes. Some of the routes are an hour and a half. The fastest route is like 57 minutes. It's not even close to the location Bob Lazar claimed it was, but it is 1 hour from Area 51. My question is this new area just a coincidence? Does it have anything to do with hangars? Is it even owned by the government? Who's constructing? What is the construction? There's a good chance it has nothing to do with hangars. It just vaguely, remotely resembles hangars to a vague degree. But it's still interesting. So if anyone's willing to drive out there and see with their own eyes, vlog that area, these are the coordinates, feel free to go there. I didn't discover this. It was discovered by other extreme UFO hunters out there, I'm sure. So someone else, please drive out there. I don't live in Nevada. I have no desire to drive in the middle of nowhere in Nevada. I'm sure it would be an arduous task to even get there. Ask the people working there, building there. Maybe there's great security there. Maybe there's zero security. Ask the construction guys. They'll probably be pretty open. And we're building a dump. It's a new town city dump. We don't know what they're building. It could be anything. They could be mining. It could be a new mine for copper. We have no idea what it is. It's still interesting, though. There are a lot of over-the-top, fantastical claims made by Bob Lazar. More than extraterrestrial craft. He claims these anti-gravity engines could stop time. Basically, could control time to a certain extent. They brought a candle near the device, turned it on, and the candle was frozen in time. He said you could see the flame stop, and the flame continued to emit light. He said the flame was still pointed when it should have been a ball. He was trying to explain how it should have been this, should have been that. When time travel is claimed, that's when I really focus on it. As anyone who knows, I'm a huge fan of time travel, and in my pastime, I do occasionally like to bust time travel hoaxes. So that's a huge red flag that Bob Lazar's story is fake. I don't think any warp drive in the history of mankind, the universe, past, present, future, advanced civilizations will ever have the ability to freeze a candle in time. Personally don't think that's possible, but there will be physicists, quantum physicists, whatever, theoretical mathematicians that'll say, maybe it's possible. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Bob Lazar's evidence consists of him going to an area, bringing people with him, telling them the schedule of the flight tests for the unidentified objects, or he was able to see them up close, extraterrestrial flying saucers. He says that the sport model was being taken out, test-driven, he knew the times, but it's possible he never did work at Area 51. How could he know the times of the lights in the sky at night? First of all, the lights in the sky at night could have easily been experimental craft by the government, but they could never see a flying saucer. They could never see the saucer shape. They could only see a light in the sky making cool maneuvers. A light in the sky making cool maneuvers isn't proof of an actual flying saucer isn't proof of extraterrestrial technology. We know Bob Lazar did work in the Nevada area near Area 51. I think it's possible Bob Lazar worked at a place, at an establishment, perhaps that brothel, perhaps a different area as an IT guy somewhere else. And I think he overheard tons of rumors about Area 51. I think he compiled those rumors of alien bodies and flying saucers. And I think he became so entrenched in the mythology of Area 51 that he went out close as he could legally to the border where you can look up and see the tests. Obviously, tests do take place at Area 51. And I think he memorized, figured out, saw the pattern of the test flights. I think that's what happened. I think he's an Area 51 fanboy, an Area 51 fan of the myths, mythologies, rumors, hearsay, urban legends. And I think he used that to his advantage when he was crafting the story of him being an employee of Area 51. There's no record that he has the background he claims he has. He said they scrubbed it from the records. He claimed he graduated from a certain university and has expertise in the field he claimed Area 51 hired him for. He does have a check from a military organization, but that check hasn't been proven to be connected with Area 51. So it's interesting he does have that check, but he could have been an IT guy for the government. We don't know. You know, he could have even been an IT guy for Area 51 itself. It's possible. He claimed he was hired to reverse engineer an engine from extraterrestrials that may have been involved with nuclear, extremely complex power sources. An IT guy doesn't exactly fit that description. He claimed he was desperate, I'm sure, and took any job he could get, but IT guy? What he does now is he sells lab equipment for children's laboratory supplies, microscopic pieces of legal radioactive samples in natural rocks, stuff like that. It's proof that he is a smart guy, is a fan of such things. Another fantastical claim made by Bob Lazar is he claimed he saw a gray alien through the window as he was walking by. They just allowed him to peep through the window of an X-Files looking hallway, an X-Files looking window with, protective metal in the window. And I think he claims he saw the back of the head of the alien. It looked like an actual entity, a gray entity. And later he had an interview, many years later. Art Bell interviewed Bob Lazar. Art Bell said, "Oh, you don't claim you saw aliens or anything." And Bob Lazar didn't correct Art Bell. He didn't mention the alien stories, which I thought was a little odd. If you did claim to see aliens, don't change the story. Don't backtrack. It makes the whole story look fake. Stick to what you claimed. You either saw aliens or you didn't. You either claim you saw aliens or you didn't.
Drawn by Bob Lazar, December 1988, January 1988, disc hangers at S4. Position of gray in relation to two scientists in lab coats. Size, orientation, and construction of window through which he saw scientists and the gray. So he was scribbling all over. This is the test site, and whereas 4 was. This was the length of the hangars, 360 feet, and each bay was 40 feet long. This was how the saucers sat in the hangar. And this drawing right here is the two, and this is what Bob drew. These are the two lab technicians, and that's the little alien facing the other way. And he drew the door, and he drew that wire going through the window. He said he looked through that and saw those guys right there.
But this case is very fascinating. I'm still interested in it. Bob Lazar is an iconic figure of the 90s that is very underrated in the context. Every single Area 51 video game you've ever seen, every single piece of flying saucer and alien memorabilia that popped up in the 90s is greatly thanks to Bob Lazar. The Area 51 alien minor league team there in Nevada, inspired by Bob Lazar. So is the case true or false? It's really hard to say. I think there might be a shred of truth to it, but I think Bob Lazar personally never worked at Area 51. I think he worked near Area 51. I think he was a fan of the mythology of Area 51. I think he brought that mythology to pop culture, to the mainstream. I hope he will write a book one day with new drawings and draw more detailed drawings of the gray alien he saw, of the candle time-stopping experiment. He does have a nice model of the supposed engine. There's a guy who went through great lengths to debunk Bob Lazar. That's not my goal here. I just want to dissect his story using logic and reason. I'm not trying to prove or disprove. It continues to be a fascinating story to this day. I personally don't think, if we did have any extraterrestrial craft at Area 51, that it's still there. They probably took it to even super secret facility at this point. But I'm a big fan. I have a Area 51 mug and from the 90s. Bob Lazar doesn't answer too many tweets, doesn't answer too many questions. He's a very secretive, very private person. So one huge thing to his credibility is he doesn't go on the UFO circuits and make money from giving speeches about his claims. He usually gets interviewed and doesn't get paid for it. So that is a huge credit. People would claim he did it for fame. He claims he's not doing it for fame. I guess we just have to take his word for it. Perhaps he just jumped on the bandwagon of something that would have happened anyway. He really brought flying saucers, alien bodies in Area 51 to the forefront. Any movie referencing Area 51 and aliens and bodies, all that information pretty much hijacked from Bob Lazar's storytelling. Until next time, I thank you for watching. This has been John Razimus. Many more episodes coming soon. Until next time, be seeing you.